You're listening to Last Hit News on the .P Network.
Hello and welcome to Last Hit News. I'm your host, Roland. Tonight, a Meepo under fire. Here to discuss the Meepo's latest polygamy controversy. The Defense of Marriage Council President, the Grand Wazoo.
Good evening, Roland.
And ACLU attorney representing Mr. Meepo, Barrister Cyphus.
Hello and thanks for having me.
Meepo has been caught in a net of controversy after Utah state authorities arrested him last week on 4 counts of polygamy. Meepo's argument is that each of his 5 wives is in fact only married to one individual Meepo. Will this help him poof away from a guilty verdict?
I really don't think it will, Roland. I think an individual is defined as someone who makes their own autonomous choices. Looking at Meepo, this clearly isn't the case. It's they're all.
I disagree.
They're all.
I
Excuse
disagree.
me. Can I finish my point, sir? They're all more or less an extension of Meepo Prime's behavior.
Each
and
of those
makes,
Meepos can take their own individual
Is that
actions.
right? Do they have individual
Yes.
names?
Yes, they do. I, in fact, represent Meepo Prime. The other Meepos have their own individual representation in this case. We are currently sending forth a request to the judge to have these charges split across 4 separate counts of polygamy, charging the 4 individual Meepos, and not my client, Meepo Prime.
And you're saying Meepo Prime does not associate with the other Meepos, or
He has an employee-employer relationship with them.
I find that hard to believe, sir, and I could show you, could we bring up some pictures on the teleprompter here of Meepo associating with all these men and their wives, often, even outside of the battle arena, sir.
Those photos were taken at a family party where the Meepo Prime invited the other Meepos to attend, and they have been taken drastically out of context. There's nothing.
Well, obviously
there's
you get
nothing
paid well,
obscene
sir.
going
Obviously
on in
you get
these
paid
photos.
well. Obviously
I
you
am
get paid
an
well,
ACLU
sir.
attorney. I represent
I would like to
civil
make a
liberty
point
issues.
of tax issues here on the air. Why I have
of
everyone's.
course.
Of course, we'll have the tax issues. If you look at the other Meepos besides Meepo Prime, no one has paid United States taxes
That is
since
because
2005.
the additional
Since the Meepos
Meepos
started actually making money. What is with this? No individual tax
Meepo
numbers.
Beta through Meepo Echo.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we have to break for our next segment. Very interesting arguments indeed. Next, the teleportation scroll. Scandals continue. The U.S. government has refused to release the documents concerning tariff arrangements with the Chinese government concerning the importation of said scrolls from China. The American people want to know, where is their money going? I'm Roland with your On the 4 Minute, every 4 minute, last hit news.
Hi, this is Cyphus from Defense of the Patients, a Dota 2 podcast. We'd like to thank you for listening, and we hope you're enjoying the content we're providing. If so, go to iTunes and leave us a review. You can also find us on defenseofthepatients.com and now on YouTube with some video content. If you'd like to reach the show, you can now give us a call and leave us a voicemail. Our phone number is 888-410-7150. 888-410-7150. We'll play the best messages on the show. Thanks for listening to .P every Monday and Thursday. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Defense of the Patients, a Dota 2 podcast. I'm your host Cyphus, sitting here with my incredibly good-looking co-hosts Wazoo. Hello. And Roland.
Hey, how's it going?
Let's get our state of affairs out of the way right off the bat. I'm sitting at 1454 on my party and still the 1150 on the solo. Haven't played a single solo game in almost 2 weeks.
Is that how you protect yourself psychologically?
Sure. It's time. It really is time.
You gotta find out if you stand on your own 2 feet, Cyphus.
Wazoo's gonna
What's
be
in
famous
here?
here soon.
What's in here?
Yeah.
What are you, Wazoo?
I am at
He's
2600 on my solo and 2700 on my YOLO, my party.
Yeah, dude, you're
because
you're really climbing the ranks.
Kind of, man. Like, I'll be average soon, and that'll be nice, you know? Finally get my life back on track.
Yeah.
But yeah, more positive attitude towards the game, moving on up. Finally got a piece of the average guy pie. On to you, Roland.
Where you
Like 1550, 1550, I think. No, 1450 solo, 1550 party. We just won. We just played with our guest, Mally, or Philip. Malystryx.
Lawrence Phillips, not Philip.
Lawrence Phillips, thank
Yeah.
you. My apologies.
Uh-huh.
And we, it was a great time. and we won.
Yeah, he plays a really
Cyphus
good
and I
Tusk.
played. Yeah, he does.
Oh, you played with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shitty Crystal Naden wasn't so bad this time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had to argue with 31 assists. You know?
Oh, yeah, I'd say not getting the job done is what I'd say with 31
Oh, that was it.
Even then, even as a support with 31
I'm just
assists, people look at your items and they're like, "Where are your items at?" You're like, all the gold's going to you, idiot. Shut up. You know.
Serious. Wazoo, will you do me a favor and just pull your mic down? Just down? Sure.
Man, I didn't know I had to do heavy lifting on this show.
Let me, and there, that is great.
Welcome to another episode of Amateur Hour with Defense of the Patients.
Hey, we're just getting everything.
It's like bonking in the face.
We're getting everything figured out. We just want you guys to know that our video is completely uncut. You will not see a cut. You will hear the Skype call, all the audio. And the reason for that is ease. It makes it a lot easier. I'm not a video editor. I don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to give you what the raw recordings. Cyphus sound doesn't quite add up with his mouth. That's because the program he's using is a little bit different from the program I'm using for my camera and for
Cyphus
Wazoo's.
Godzilla version, you know?
Yeah, it's a little different. You're never quite in sync, and we'll try and get that fixed. Of course, we're starting from the bottom here and climbing up.
We've never done
any of this
any kind of video stream, so we were wary getting into it because we had good sound quality, but we didn't want to come in with like
and the sound
something that
quality's
looked
not
like
the same.
1990s like real life MTV episode, like I don't know.
Yeah.
We should put a little time and date stamp like the old VHS videotape recorders. Yeah.
We definitely didn't know what we were getting into with video, but it's a lot more work, but we're willing to do it. Just bear with us on the sound and bear with us on Cyphus kind of never really adding up. But what he says never really adds up anyway, so it should work out, right?
Yeah.
We're hoping you're looking at how out of sync his lips with his words are, so you don't realize how out of sync his ideas are.
Right,
Mhm.
right. It's kind of a psychological.
Yeah, it's like look at this hand, but really what you shouldn't be focusing on is the other hand. Sure.
Yeah. So
Well, anyway, now that we're done with that.
Burn sesh, dude.
I wasn't burning you.
Oh, sure.
No, I really.
No.
It's alright, it's alright. Let's
I
move on.
wasn't-
We're
yeah.
all friends here,
I wasn't-
guys. We're all friends here.
So if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Facebook by searching Defense of the Patients, or on Twitter by searching for @p_show. You can listen to the show on our website, defenseofthepatients.com. Watch our videos on YouTube, as we just mentioned, completely raw and uncut. Raw.p.
No. That will never be a thing.
That's
will
the
never
first
be a
time
thing.
I've ever heard that, and the last time I want to hear
Yeah,
that.
it sounds
Raw.p.
disgusting. And then if you want to swing by iTunes to hear the show as well, which will be cut and nice and edited, Roland will put his stink all over it.
I like this.
Yeah, and you'll know, and that way you can be in on the edits, because I do edit out some blemishes for the podcast. You can see the difference between video and audio. It just won't sync up as well. There's a syncopation issue with the program I'm using, and for recording audio, and the programs I'm using to edit video. So I'm just trying to learn all this shit, plus trying to learn a bunch of shit in school, trying to get my life back on track. So
You guys are watching way too much Trailer Park Boys, by the way.
we are watching way too much Trailer Park Boys. You can't watch too much. I've seen the whole series.
It's changed my view on the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So speaking of changing your view on the cast, before Mally calls in, I wanted to bring up the fact that you were taking somewhat of a break from Dota.
I hit a rage limit, man. Like, I hit my, super combo mode, where just, where I was just getting so tied up in what other people were doing that it was making the game unenjoyable for me. And this was, a month and a half ago. On the cast, it's cataloged, when we were talking about it. And that was, my low point. And since then, I've just kind of been aware of the problem and kind of building and focusing on my own play. And since then, man, I've gone up a lot in MMR, I've gone up a lot in commendations, I've gone up a lot.
You have a ton of commendations.
And I can even be I'm a dick sometimes.
I know,
I'm just
you're harsh.
Because one guy got a 11-minute Midas, and I'm against a Lycan, solo Lycan, in an offlane. And I was like, that's not a good idea, man. That's the stupidest thing. I don't even understand your reasoning. He's like, thank you, commended. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not being the nicest guy, but
yeah.
I don't know. If you're blunt with people, and I don't know, I wasn't trying to be a dick to the guy, but I was like, that's dumb, because some ideas are stupid in Dota.
Sure.
And you think they're good ideas at the time, but they're really, when you look at the logic, they're really stupid.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've had plenty. Like I was playing with this faceless void who like he picked right away, and this is I guess 6.81 this game, but he picks right away and he's like, I go Midas quick, and we win. We're gonna stomp. And it's like we've never seen faceless void before or something like that. And it's like, okay, dude, like good on you. Like 13-minute Midas, and it's just like, no, it's good. Like whiffing, like when they do.
By that time, you got to realize that's like Mask of Madness and Treads.
Oh yeah.
By 15 minutes,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is where you want to be, because then you can
Exactly.
solo kill any
Mask of
support.
Madness, yeah, it's so valuable.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I didn't realize there was that item for Drow that was Mask of Madness.
It makes her all twitchy.
And she's just like, oh, but wouldn't it? She's mad,
Yeah,
you know?
Mask of Madness.
I-
You
must be
probably
called-
haven't built it.
Because
you're a support
with
player.
sniper.
It's something that
Yeah.
increases your attack speed, increases damage, but
increases the
amplifies
damage
the
you
damage
take.
you take.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amplify is what it's called in Dota.
Yeah.
And it's a great item to have as baseless because you lock someone down and then you can try to proc more time bashes. But
Yeah. But anyway, he stunk it up. Have you ever seen the Faceless Void who wants to get somewhere faster, so he puts down the Chronosphere just to run through it?
I do that all the time to save my ass, man.
No, but just like, I want to get to a fight. I'm going to put a Chrono down,
Hey,
run through my
That's why you have
Chrono.
Time walk, right?
Wazoo
And
and I
it's
saw
like,
that guy
what
throw down a
the
Chronosphere on a
fuck?
creep wave so he could quickly farm it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So we could quickly what? So we could run between targets at 1,000?
Sometimes I GTFO with my Chronos.
Oh,
Like,
that's
I'll
fine.
just get
That
dived,
makes
and so I'll
sense.
just
That's
pump
fine.
it down and just
It's a
see ya.
MacGyver Chrono at that point, you know?
Well, kind of.
You're thinking on your toes.
If like you had like a tin can and you made a Chronosphere, then that's MacGyver. You know, like so it has to translate.
Sure. But yeah,
That was a
Back to
perfectly
you.
syncopated on.
back to you taking a break.
Okay, yeah.
Well, of course I know this because I've been hanging out with you. You've been playing
You
different
can
games
get
a little bit.
addicted. You can get addicted to like the raw, like just playing to play, and you're not even enjoying it. You're like the guy smoking a cigarette and like drinking a rum on his front porch, yelling at kids, like not enjoying his life. But you're doing that in Dota. You big spirit breaker. You know, like you're that guy.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
But when you just focus on your own play and you like try to relate to people as an individual, it works out a lot better. You gotta respect people's individuality. You gotta respect that everyone wants to win. And some people are just ridiculous.
Some
and you
people
gotta just
don't want
view
to
them.
win. That Tinker game, where that Tinker bought boots of... He was playing an okay Tinker at first, but his point was that I said Slardar was a mid, and he said Slardar is not a mid, and he was pissed. And so he went Tinker just to spite me and wouldn't go mid, even though I was like, Tinker, go mid, please. Like, you need your boot to travel, you need this, you need that, please go mid. And he wouldn't. And he spitefully sold his shit and then bought a
Bought a level
Dagon
one
3.
Dagon.
No, he had a Dagon 3, but
Oh, yeah,
still,
yeah.
like, level 25, what is Dagon 3? It's fucking nothing. Like, you need Dagon 5 to
It's
even
like
make a difference.
it's like a magic bolt.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
we
It's
lost
like- it's
because
like
of him. And you got pissed, and people
1d6
were
damage
watching.
or 2d6 damage maybe.
And people were like, I agreed with what Wazoo said. Because you were doing some all chat, like, you fucking Tinker, report this fucking Tinker. Like, you didn't say report. Did you say report this
I don't
Tinker?
know. I've reported him.
Yeah.
But I went
did
on
too.
his profile. He allowed comments from anyone on his profile, and I wrote like a long diatribe about how much of a scumbag that guy was.
Good.
Afterwards, and then he deleted it, and I went back and went, I am vengeance. I am vengeance. I am the night, bitch.
Oh, he deleted that one too.
Yeah, he deleted both,
I'm sure.
unfortunately. But I told him like you can't.
People should know. He should be
Sometimes you gotta
branded.
let people know, man. Like I don't know. I've never
I mean, he was-
intentionally
you think he was
fed a
just
game to
trolling you?
this. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was trolling the both of us, bro.
He
was a
random
dick.
Slardar and he was like, "Cool, start with a bottle of go mid." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's not bad."
Yeah,
You know, we're
Slardar's-
playing like ranked
and we were
2500.
kicking ass.
Yeah, and this guy picks him
Yeah.
in hero. Bitches, we say, okay, fine, go mid. You know, because that's how we are. Really.
Yeah, like,
we don't
Tinker's a
argue
mid.
because it
Yeah,
just,
and
you know
can
that.
destroy the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
We just let 'em do what they wanna
But
do.
no, after he gives a mid, he refuses and goes into the lane he's going into.
Yeah, and he
Off lane.
refuses. I won't go mid now. I
And so
refuse
Slaughter
to go
goes
mid.
back to mid, and then this guy
And I'm doing
spends
good
the
in
entire
mid.
game just playing like an absolute.
And
like,
he's doing good
that's
off lane, too.
infuriating. It's an hour of wasted time just watching like this guy like
Yeah.
have ego issues in front of you. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and how did I offend your ego, man, by playing a game? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Like, sorry for randoming a hero.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's terrible.
And I mean, it was a great random. I
And-
knew how to play Slardar.
Yeah.
I played Slardar mid, so when he was like Slardar isn't a mid, like I argued back a little bit. I was like, yeah, he is because he has
Can I
great movement.
make one more point?
Sure,
Like,
sure,
sorry,
go ahead.
But like,
Sorry.
I feel like we're kind of beating that point to death with the Slardar,
Mhm.
or I mean with the Tinker.
Yeah.
One thing that we both did that I would like to add before Mally calls in is we muted him towards the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
and
it helped.
both of us.
And it really
until the end of the game, and that's when I started to lose my temper. When I saw him selling all of his shit and buying like bullshit. Like, Dagon's good with the Tinker, but if you're selling your boots of travel and shit like that,
he was
so
doing
you can
it
get a
because we were
Dagon,
winning. He didn't want us to win. He really wanted us to lose.
Winning. Like,
we were.
Maybe no, we weren't.
We were doing good.
It was like that time in mid game where like you're ahead like a few towers, but they're ahead in kills and they have way more push than you. Like we weren't going to win that game because that Tinker wasn't doing anything. A 45 is not a good thing, you know.
We should pull that game up. I'd like to see what it is.
We could give an ID on that. Who was watching? Somebody was watching that game. I think a couple of our listeners were watching that game, and they were like, "That was such bullshit." That Tinker.
It's okay. You gotta just like let it go.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and
yeah, you do.
mute the guys and just move on. I guess.
Mhm.
You know, because you can't ever account for how you're going to rub someone's ego the wrong way. Sometimes in that game, it's just like, sorry, I picked a position you play a lot, and now you feel offended that I would like to play a commonly played position.
Yeah.
You know, like, and when you add language barriers to the mix, it makes it really hard in ways because you have someone like maybe like some things are being lost in translation that they're trying to tell you, and you're just like, whoa, dude, like, sorry, you know, and.
I will say, Roland and I just had that game with Mally where the other two guys were Spanish speakers, and they did their best to communicate with us.
And you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you can communicate that whole game with the chat wheel. Back, missing.
Well, we didn't even
all
do
that
that.
with the chat wheel.
We just told him via, like, we just said, no español. Like, we were just like, sorry, dude, like, we don't speak it, but, like, we're more than happy to work with you.
And that's how it needs to be in
yeah,
this.
and he didn't say anything over the
Remember,
microphone.
it's a
He was
small
just like,
world
okay,
after all, and it shows all the cultures of the world joined round holding hands, you know, and all the flags of the world behind them, and everyone's getting along for once. That's Dota, man.
Yeah.
But the opposite sometimes,
Making
too.
the community, yeah,
like, A-bombs being dropped on people, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's a racist, terrible environment.
We should sometimes, but you can change that. And
You
that's
can.
what we've been saying
You
on the
can.
show, is that if you just throw some positivity in there, other people are going to be like, well, fuck it, I'll be positive too.
Instead of
I don't have
saying-
to always be hating.
Okay, like, just don't
Another-
say racial BS. Don't, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's better just call
Why are you so angry, bro?
Yeah,
you
just
know?
just
Another
like,
interesting suggestion.
Hispanics.
What's
know,
that?
We should
sometimes.
look up some common phrases.
Yeah.
We should look up some common phrases to
Like
throw
common racial phrases?
No, I'm talking
Oh.
about common Spanish phrases, like a
Oh,
phrase book.
yeah. We did fine.
Yeah, we
knew,
should look up some
We knew
racial
he was asking
epithets
for a
to start
tank.
calling
He said, I don't know if the TANQUE means tank in
them.
Spanish.
Yeah, it looked like tanque.
But
Tank
I
hooray.
assumed like he was like,
But
please
I mean,
get a tank. I think is what he was saying.
Yeah, he said,
and we were like,
por favor entramos con tanque. Which
Yeah,
I,
and I'm like,
took to mean, please
get a tank.
please let us enter the game with a tank.
Yeah.
No. You,
That's how I took it.
You actually are mistaken there. That actually translates to Cyphus is a gigantic douche.
Oh, yeah,
that
it would.
makes
It does.
so much
Yeah,
sense, actually.
It's a silent
yeah.
T.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
you're right.
I had just alerted the team that I would be supporting with Crystal Maiden. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
It's not an easy life.
Yeah.
You're like the team psychologist too.
I
Yeah,
try.
sometimes.
Need a medic
Sometimes.
psychologist, man, to
Sometimes.
talk about my field
Sometimes-
experiences.
Sometimes being the team psychologist makes me feel like I need a team of psychologists.
Well, we can't be that, dude.
Um,
Sorry.
So, despite your break, last night we all got together and still played a game. We played a normal game with, there's Mally calling.
No, that's me saying, hey, call whenever.
I'm not really taking a break. Oh, nice.
Okay, here he is. Oh, sorry, that's loud. Sorry for anybody who's listening to the video stream. Hello, Lawrence.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. So everybody, this is Lawrence Phillips, also known in the video game world as Malystryx.
Or Mally for short.
We don't want to use Mally for short. There's somebody else that goes by
Oh, sorry.
the.
You can
goes
do
by
Mally.
Mal.
Mally's fine.
I like Malystryx. I think that
Sounds like a
it's very
dark wizard's name.
Yeah, vindicated and nice. How are you, Lawrence?
I'm still recovering from Cyphus's game we just played now when he got all those salves. Doesn't make any sense.
Why are you getting salves?
He's like, no, I shall not bottle, I shall not ruin, I shall not wait, I shall buy more salves. It's like 30 minutes into the game, he's still buying salves.
We won. We won.
Yeah, it's true.
We won. I had one of the better games I've ever had with Sand King that game. It was a blast.
Yes.
And I just spent all my time in the Jungle Book, dude. Just the Jungle Book. However it goes, I can't remember.
That's
I
not.
died to
how it goes.
Roshan, which was not good, but then we gave Cyphus the Aegis.
Yeah.
It was quite good.
Yeah.
Yes, I was Crystal Maiden with the Aegis. Crystal Maiden.
So you
himself.
were paid his salves in Aegis.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
The only gift that's better.
The Razor in that game wouldn't pick up the Aegis, so it was just like, alright, I'll grab it. I dropped a teleportation scroll and snagged it.
So he realized how OP Static Link and Aegis was, and he was just like, nah, man.
Yeah. He was trying to play a fair game.
Yeah.
It was a great game. It was fun. It was entertaining the entire time.
So let's talk about Malystryx a little bit here. He is the editor-in-chief currently for JoinDota, but he's got kind of a varied history with a ton of other games, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and we should note for this interview we're using Skype just because of some of the time differences. So Roland may have to repeat some of our questions.
Yeah, you're in Great Britain, aren't you?
Yeah.
Wow.
We call it UK, we don't call it Great Britain, but yeah.
I call it Great Britain.
It is pretty great.
Because
It's a bit
you've never been
arrogant to
there.
name your country great.
Hey, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. You got London, you know.
That's the only city Roland knows in the UK. So let's ask Mally to give us a little bit of his background prior to JoinDota.
Okay, so if I started in 2004, so that's quite a long time ago. So I was in university, and Warcraft 3 was kind of a big East. Have you played Warcraft 3?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like an RTS, and that was sort of gaining popularity. And I had a clan, and my teammates, we wanted to get serious. I remember I kicked out all these people. I said, "You're not good enough. Get out of my clan." And I made like a really like hardcore team of people. And I was like, "Oh right, okay, let's get some leagues going. Let's find some leagues." And there's something called Clan Base, which was a long time ago. It's like one of the places you went to organize matches. And I found there's like no admin and there's no one to organize it, so I volunteered as an admin. And then I don't know how it worked out. Basically, for some reason, like 1 or 2 months later, the head admin of this tournament got sick. And then they were like, "Oh, Lawrence, do you want to go and admin this esports finals?" And I was like, "Okay." And they said, "We'll pay you to go there, and it's in Amsterdam." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." And Grubby, who plays StarCraft 2 now,
Yes. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Grubby, by
okay,
the way.
so this
I'm a
was-
StarCraft 2 player.
when he was sort of coming up, where he was just sort of getting into, becoming famous. And there was Todd, who's now also a StarCraft 2 commentator.
Yeah.
And there's some
Really
other
good.
players.
He's French, right? Isn't he French? Todd?
He is French. He is
Yeah,
French.
he's cool. I really like Todd. Of course, these are like the people I looked up to. I like StarCraft. I still play StarCraft. I still have love for Blizzard. I played a game the other day. Yeah, so these guys were my heroes when I was playing StarCraft in like 2010.
Well, I was sort of young. I was sort of 18, and I had to admin these players, and I'd never really met esports players before, and it's like a new experience. And I realized that they basically hate admins. Like whatever you do, they hate you.
Really?
And I remember there was this. It's like a crappy building. It was like made of like pure glass, one of the side of the wall where the players were, so that light kept going on their screen. And then I remember as Todd of Fury was like, "Hey, my computer, I can't see the screen. What are you gonna do about it?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." And I was like, I don't know. So I found these. I remember I found these boxes of the PCs, and I piled them up next to him so it would block the sun. It's such a crap solution. And I tried to move this tree. There's like a palm tree, and I was like, okay, yes, we could put the tree in the way. And of course, the sun moves, which is something I didn't predict. Because then you've got to keep moving the boxes. But then after that, I just decided, right, no more admin. I could maybe write about it, and then I swapped to do writing for the same company, and they sent me to another tournament again for Warcraft 3. And then I guess the big break came when I sort of wrote for a website called SK Gaming, and they wrote about like Warcraft and Counter-Strike 1.6 and FIFA and also Dota 1. And then I stayed there for like 3 or 4 years, and I went up the ladder. So I like worked for free. Then I had like €200 salary. Then I had €400 salary. Then I had €800 salary. And then Carmack, who runs Intel Extreme Masters, if you know him. Carmack.
Yes.
Okay, so he was my boss.
Oh,
And
wow.
we became friends, and then when he left, he asked them to hire me full-time, and that's sort of when I did esports full-time, and that was sort of like 5 years ago. So that's when I sort of got my experience, and thanks to Carmack, he took me on all these trips. So he's like, "Oh, I need a wingman. Let's send Lawrence." And so I got to go on these trips. I went to ESWC Paris. Where else did I go to? I went to Germany. I went to WCG. Went to 2 WCGs. I went to a WCG in China as well.
Whoa.
So he basically got me all these opportunities, and then I sort of replaced him. And then I took a long break from esports because it was kind of like I have a kid, and it's not a great career if you've got a kid. So I swapped to being a teacher, an English teacher. I worked for Razer for a year, sort of helping out and then Milk, who's the Dota 2 player, he'd been on my Facebook for a long time, and he just asked me if I'd like a job, and I said, well, doing what? And he said, oh, writing about Dota, and I was like, I don't really know very much about Dota. And then basically he offered me the job, so I didn't really apply. He just asked if I could help, and he's saying, I'm going to be the new boss of this website, do you think you can help? And at this point I know nothing about this website, and I don't really know much about Dota, but I'd sort of joined, and then I sort of built up the stuff. So I guess that's a short version.
So would you say that the esports scene in Europe, or how do you feel the esports scene in Europe compares to the esports scene in America? Do you think it's bigger there, about the same size?
It's difficult when you say esports scene. You have to be more specific, because in America you may consider Super Street Fighter as esports, but I guess you'd have to be more specific about which game. When you say esports, what are you thinking of?
Yeah, which game are you referring?
I guess I just kind of wondered about the esports scene overall, but well, I guess for our podcast's sake, how about with Dota?
I think in terms of, I've never been to America, so I can't really say about in terms of the fans, but I think the community, I think there is, for Dota at least, there's sort of, America, apart from EG, doesn't create great players, they create great personalities. So if you think about it in terms of, likable people, or maybe entertaining people, like, for example, Arteezy, Arteezy is crazy. I mean, he can't remember his sponsors, he has to read his t-shirt, and this kind of thing, but the thing is, he's very he has a personality, and Americans generally have a lot of personality, so I think they create a lot of character for the Dota 2 team, but not necessarily the best players.
Sometimes too much personality, just a little too much personality.
Yeah, but it's good if you have people. For example, in StarCraft 2, there's a player called Idra, and he was famous. He's just famous for just talking shit. But he actually, I prefer someone who's going to say something than just being, another, sort of ghost. You've got no idea what they're like. And I think in Europe you've got a lot of players that are sort of similar, but with America you've sort of got clearly defined personalities. Yeah. So Arteezy will say, oh yeah, they suck, or they're out of shape, or Eternal Envy will go, oh yeah, they're wank. But they won't say wank, as it were, American equivalent, and they'll just be very honest about it, and they're not really scared. So I think America contributes to the personality, but not the skill, apart from perhaps EG and some of Cloud9.
It feels almost as if Europe is more grassrootsy in a way with their esports scene. You have all these things popping up that have been building for years. Like you have I don't know, StarLadder, maybe not the best example right now, but it feels like in America it's way more corporate sponsored. Like nothing's really getting off the ground unless it has that big corporate name behind it.
Like MLG, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, and I guess this IEM going on in New York, it's IEM, right?
ESL.
Yeah, ESL, that's right, sorry.
It's the same company.
Yeah. And also, I guess even with Valve and the International, I mean, I guess that's the crown jewel of American esports in a way. I mean, it's definitely grown past that point, but Europe still feels more connected as a scene.
Sure. The #1 tournament in the world for Dota 2 is in America, if I'm not mistaken, which is the International in the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, prize pool wise, sure.
Prize pool wise, I mean, probably attendees as well, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back on track.
Well, I think that's the good point what you said about America. I mean, if you go back, I've done lots of games, and generally America's problem is it struggles to attract people to go to America. So with StarCraft 2, they had, I can't remember what it's called, I think it was American Stars or something, and it invited these foreign players to go and live in America. I can't remember the name of the tournament.
I remember that.
I watched it.
It's always been GSL for StarCraft for the longest time. I don't call the scene much
GSL's
anymore.
the Korea thing.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of the pinnacle of skill, right?
If you win 3, a few players have won 3 or 4. I don't know. I don't really follow it anymore.
I don't know. I guess it's still much the same for Dota in a way, with the Chinese victory.
Well, I think that's what I mean. You sort of different people gravitate. Sort of Europe has got a very stable set of lands. So you've got DreamHack and you've got ESL and some others. Yeah. But America sort of normally has this really for example, a long time ago, 5 you had CGS. Do you know what that was? So they had televised gaming, and they picked some games and they made it really ridiculously American. Wow, my God, that's the most amazing kill I've ever seen in my life. And then everyone loved it.
They get way into it. I know. Oh my God, here he goes. He's gonna get it off. He got it off. Oh my God, they're dead.
Yeah, and then he died. Basically, they tried to drafting NBA, and he died. But so I think America has these sort of short spurts of a lot of money, and then people sort of lose interest, and then you go, these teenagers, they'd be brilliant. They love our products. Right, let's organise this massive tournament. Boom, whoa, amazing. And then they die, and then it starts again. So they don't seem to really build on previous tournaments, apart from MLG. And TI, obviously, just because it's the company that actually makes the game. So
exactly. It just doesn't feel connected in terms of as networked, I suppose,
Yeah,
as Europe does.
We're trying to. Like Total Biscuit, for instance. I mean, look at the network he's built, and look at everything he's done, the teams he's started, and everything like that. He's a really good networker, and we don't really have some great networkers here in America. I mean, I guess we do. We have some really good ones, but there's also some incredible European casters, and the European scene overall is probably more prominent, I would say.
Well, I think in terms of when you said about commentators, an interesting thing that sort of happened over the course of the years, like 5 or 6 years, is that when I started in esports, commentators were not important. I mean, they weren't considered celebrities. It was sort of like, you're just the same as like a fan. You're just like, you're there to serve me and my purpose. You cast my games, that's it, I don't care about you. But like when StarCraft 2 came out in like day 9, for example, he started to gain fame, and you had other commentators who sort of, like DJ Wheats, who used to make esports, and then these people sort of start to build profile, and then you sort of now come to a point where, for example, Toby Wan, who's in JoinDota, he's as famous as a player, but that wasn't the case a long time ago. People didn't really care what they had to say, but that's sort of changed. So I think, yeah, you can have lots of personalities now in America.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking on that topic, we just recently read your interview that you did with Gosu Gamers. I think basically what you're kind of hitting on is what you touched on there in that interview, with the kind of the self-centeredness of the pro players overall. And you'd also mentioned the decline of esports writing, like quantity versus quality. Could you kind of talk to that a little bit and explain to us what your views are about esports writing?
The first part was about... What was the first part of your question again?
Just mentioning that Gosu Gamers article, what you're touching on now is kind of what you were touching on.
Oh, about the self-centeredness. Well, for example, I've got a son, right? And my son's, at the moment, he's an only child. And if he's used to always having attention, if we have a guest, for example, to visit, he might think, what the hell, why are you giving that person attention? So I think players are quite the same, is they are quite young, and they are given a lot of attention. And for some of them, they do sort of get used to this sort of attention. And they sort of act in a way that perhaps wouldn't be normal in a social circle. You know, you don't go to someone's house and only talk about yourself. But players are so used to people asking them questions, they sort of forget to, ask stuff back. So you sort of get to a point where there's sort of several players, but not all, do get very self-centered. So you sort of need, that's when sort of maturity comes in, and they can sort of be more mature. They've got more experience in like the social world, like maybe they've had a job before. And those players tend to normally last longer. For example, Grubby, for example, has lasted a long time. Todd has lasted a long time. So they realise that this, Grubby is a good example because
he's a great example.
When I wrote about him, he was like very arrogant, and he didn't really care about news writers. He sort of thought, well, we are there to write about him. But then, as he grew older and he started a new game, which he wasn't as good at, then he realised, oh wait, these fans are going to keep me alive. And then now he's like always tweeting, hey guys, what do you think of my games? And he's like, he needs to stay alive. So I think that's one point that does sort of annoy me. And going into writing, that also sort of extends to writers, is that writers find it very difficult to approach players because they don't know what to say. So generally they're very afraid of the players sort of thinking they're a waste of time. And I think that sort of contributes to sort of less content, really, because players can be very picky about who they let interview them. Whereas perhaps in real sports you might go through the manager, and the manager goes, interview this.
Yeah.
In esports that might not be the case. For example, I work for JoinDota, someone else works for Ghost Gamers. Perhaps someone else in your company wrote something about them that they didn't like. They're going to stick that to you. You're in the same boat, you're in the same... So you work for that website. Even if it was 2 years ago and all the staff have gone, I didn't like what you write 2 years ago, so I'm not going to let you interview me. So that's...
Oh, people like Idra. For instance, Idra, I could see...
Well, you don't know that he did that, but I would like to bring it back to Greg Fields and a point that we live in a time where we're so connected that we can't afford for our players to be not so appreciative of their fan base. I mean, Idra was let go from EG for that very reason, insulting someone on Team Liquid forum posts. He was just let go from.
Oh, I remember that.
And that guy was making pretty good salary. I mean, that guy had it made, and now he's a ghost. We're too connected. You can tweet out a screenshot of a forum post, and you can show how much of an arrogant douche a player is. Yeah. And in a way,
and he was a douche.
He was a funny douche. Come on, he's like some classic.
He was a funny. No, it was. I love the drama that he created.
He was a clown.
No, he was
created
an drama.
Clown, man.
He created like almost this like movie about StarCraft that It was
always
fun.
seemed like he was mentally distressed underneath all that.
Sure.
Like watching it, because I was really following StarCraft 2 in the beginning.
Yeah, we both were.
It seems like his rage quits and all that. It seemed like he.
There was one where he
some
won the
type of
game
help.
and he rage quit
Yeah.
to lose, and it was just like, oh no.
I don't know, and that's why
no.
it felt like watching.
It might be good to use an example that maybe your fans, because many of your fans maybe don't know either. So maybe you could pick like a Dota 2 sort of equivalent. I think Demon is kind of like, I mean, he's my favorite player because he's just like all the drama and the excitement, and he's sort of like the kind of player I would like to interview. Just because he's the kind of player you really need. He takes a piss of himself. He's actually quite good. He streams. He talks to subscribers. So that's the kind of player I would like to see more of. So more demons.
I'd like to see more Wagamama. Honestly, if we're gonna call, he's a really fantastic. And I guess I really love that Europe scene mentality that he's kind of cultivated in a way.
But the thing I learned when I was writing SK Gaming is I wrote for a team, so the players in the team had to let me interview them because they were, in the same team as organisation as me, which included Loda and Ake, who are now, they actually travelled with me before they were famous. They were quite famous. Dota 1, and we hang out, and now later they became huge stars. They came back to Dota 2 Milks, like joined Dota, like whoa, they're famous, holy shit. And but the thing is, like when you worked with Razer, when I worked with Razer with a sponsor, then it's very, very different because when you ask the player to do something, it's in their best interest to do what you want because
you don't want to piss off
they're sponsoring. So, but for some players, they may say like, "Oh, right, well, talking to my fans, that's not in my contract. I don't get paid to do that. I get paid to play."
Wow.
And you get. So that's quite a common thing. It's like
it's counterintuitive. That's just counterintuitive. The more fans, the more.
This is a hobby that is very. I don't know. It's not a hobby that you build social skills doing necessarily.
You should. It's a giant.
Gaming has become so much. Living this beautiful life, you should probably develop social skills. I mean, if you're going to go by that.
I'm just saying. So this is just some example, but it is a sort of. It was a common theme when I was, in different. I've done different esports games. And sometimes it is just some personality. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people perhaps, for example, I find that first-person shooters players are normally more outgoing than perhaps RTS, who is very sort of centered on themselves. For example, like StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, where you're sort of playing by yourself. Dota 2 is a sort of team game, but it's different. But some of them think like, well, I don't get paid to do extra interviews, so you can't really force them. The manager can't say, well, do an interview with this website, because they'll say, well, you're not giving me any money for it. What's in it for me? So you really need to find players that like to give back to the community. It's not a case of saying, oh, that player did really well, I'm going to interview him. It might be he doesn't like interviews, so then you go, oh, well, that's the end of that then. And then you have to sort of find the players who are easy to approach. For example, Brax from Navi US, he's very approachable. 1437, very approachable. So you just need to find the people, which is difficult, especially if you've never met them face to face. You're sort of just talking online, and you might meet them at a bad time. And for me, that's for lots of writers that I sort of manage, they may catch the player at the wrong time. So it's just that wrong moment. It's not that they don't want to interview, just the moment they may have just lost. They may have not had much sleep. There's lots of conditions that need to be met for them to want to interview you.
Lost the international. Got some words on that?
Yeah, there was a player. I'm gonna say StarCraft won last time, Huck, and apparently he had a loss that he thought was because of lack of sleep, and I totally agree. Some of those RTSs
jet lag
moving,
too.
Jet lag and getting no sleep. You're moving at these players are moving at 300 effective actions per minute, basically. I mean, not effective. I'm going to say actions per minute. And you gotta figure the brain capacity that goes into 300 actions per minute that are calculated is just incredible. And that's, I don't know, a cool point to add there is that there are some variables that aren't picked up.
Yeah, so you need to sort of be aware of that. And what I found, like from doing esports today, is you need to be patient. For example, recently I interviewed a player for Dota 2, and we did half of the interview. And then I asked him, "Can I ask you some more questions?" He's like, "Sure, no problem." And then lots of problems happened. Then he went to China, and the thing is, that's not his fault. Stuff happened. No. He went to China, so you just be patient. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But some writers may get really annoyed, like, "You promised me! Give me my questions! You suck!" And then they'll just burn the bridge. It's gone. But sometimes you just need to be patient. Sure. Sometimes it really is hit or miss. And like when I worked at Razer, my boss sort of said, like, when you interview someone, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Right, move on to the next person. Move on to the next person. And then one of those will sort of come through, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to interview this player, and if it falls through, you've got nothing. So you need to sort of consider other factors that may affect their mood. For example, have they recently lost a lot of games? Right, that's not a good time to talk to them. It's like you're asking, do you have a boyfriend just after a breakup? You're like, no. You just don't do it. So.
Sure.
Well, what are you up to right now over at JoinDota?
So I manage the editorial staff. So when I joined last November, the website was kind of dead because the previous editor-in-chief there are different ways to be an editor-in-chief. One is that you do all the work yourself, and the other one, which is sort of I like to do, is I sort of like to sort of train other people to be able to do what I do. This is more dangerous. My method is more dangerous because you're potentially creating competition for yourself. But I think it's more interesting to sort of like Gorgon is one person. Gorgon the Wonder Cow, who came on your show. I picked him out from 500 emails. I recommended him to Capitalist. I said, do you think you can give this guy a shot to do some commentating maybe? I think he's doing really well. And in the end, now he's casting ESL 1 by himself. And I find that more rewarding. But the previous writer sort of did all the work himself. And then when he quit, then the website was dead. So I sort of build up staff over time. And my job basically is to motivate people to work for, as volunteers really, because you need to manage their interests. I need to keep them motivated because the company, we can't pay all our staff.
Sure.
So you need to be able to find a way to motivate people in a way that they feel that they're having fun, but not working too much and not getting paid. So that's basically the main job is getting the staff, teaching them what to do, making sure they don't do stupid stuff like on Twitter.
Yeah. And Gorgon is a very good example. Like he is just an awesome guy all around. I really like Gorgon.
Yeah, but that's.
But Wazoo had a point he wanted to make.
Sorry, I actually don't have a point to make now. We kind of segued out of it, but we can just move on.
I apologize.
Oh, poor Wazoo. But that's what I mean. It's just you can join Dota with sort of
I will
Milk. He grew the website. I mean, in terms of hits, I think I've increased it like huge. Like over time, we have more news. We have it more regularly. We have more comments, Facebook, Twitter, and all the things. So it's just a case really of managing all the people and to keep them satisfied. And that's perhaps something that's not really about writing. That's not that skill I find relatively easy. Is nothing about writing. Managing people is not about writing. I'm not writing anything. I just need to sort of convince them to continue to stay and continue to contribute. So I guess that's the most difficult part of the job, not actually writing the news.
I think it's very important in this scene to send the elevator back down, so to speak, and help people back up, like you were talking about with your method and finding Gorgon. I mean, if you can sense that passion and people want to do it, that's where the personality comes from. That's where good work comes from. That's where solid esports writing comes from. It's not like writing up a passionless article about whatever, but really being in it, feeling like you can better this whole thing.
At the same time, on the writer's end of things, being willing to put in that time for free. I mean, you're not going to get paid to do something you want to do right off. If you really are motivated, if you really are motivated, you're going to do it for a while for free. You got to prove you can hack it, and it sounds like that's what's going on over there at JoinDota. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that is awesome. You give that opportunity because we all, have a passion for this, and we all have to do it for free at the start.
You do get people losing their tempers. I think that's for me is a difficult point. Is that some people, when they join, is you have to sort of work out. Some people are basically glory hunters. Is all they want to do is get their name on an article and talk to famous players, and they're not really bothered about the website. And I've had a few of these people, and in terms of writing, they actually can't write, and they're not very likable. And if I then say, well, it's difficult, you're not really, you sort of need to work as a team, and the first thing they'll do is turn around and say, you're working me for free, I'm not your slave, and it's like nothing to do with that, but they'll do that, delete me from Skype, Twitter, everything gone, but really it's nothing to do with that. It's just that they're sort of in it for themselves, really. And when, after 2 weeks, they haven't sort of gotten what they want, they just disappear. So that's why it's difficult to sort of find sort of loyal people.
I tried my dream, damn it, for 2 whole weeks.
It's when you have the mentality for the community is when it really helps. Instead of I'm going to get famous for myself, and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get that. Those people tend to sink really quickly, opposed to the people who, really want to build up the community and get the community involved. Which
Well, in
Go
terms
ahead,
of
Mal.
making it a career, like all of my jobs in esports came from relationships that I made in previous jobs, all of them. So, the first tournament I did as an admin, I made friends with the news editor. He put me in the news section. I became head of the news section. I joined SK Gaming. I made friends with Carmack. He promoted me. One of the writers who was in SK Gaming then went to Razer. He recommended me. I went to Razer. Milk, I met. He remembered me from a long, long time ago. Asked me to join. So all of my jobs are not based on my CV. I can write like a million articles. It's just a case of building relationships with people. Not just trying to use them like a one-night stand, which is basically what I'm saying. You're sort of like building relationships, and maybe now I'm not going to be the most famous person. People don't remember that I'm the guy that runs a website, but people like Gorgon or Nars or other people, they can sort of get the fame, and then the sort of community sort of expands really. So if one of my writers said, there's a new website coming, I'm going to get €500, I'd say go and take it. Now, most people may say that's quite strange. Why would you let your staff leave? But really in esports there are not many opportunities for this, and if they did have an opportunity I would encourage them to take it if they did, but normally they don't and they just stay. So they say, so what shall I do, Lawrence? Oh, you can go. Yeah, sounds good. Oh, but I don't want to go. I want to stay with you,
must be
Lawrence.
doing a
Okay,
good
yeah,
job.
you stay, cool.
You must be doing a good job, Lawrence. It sounds like you're an incredible guy. We all feel pleased to have you here. Cyphus, do you have any?
We're not treating this like a one-night stand, Lawrence.
No, we're
gonna call
not.
you.
We'll
We're
call you
loving
back.
our voices.
We'll call you back, baby.
Yeah, we'll call you at 2 a.m. Wake the kid and be like, how are you?
No,
how are you,
no,
Lawrence?
I want to ask you guys a question, and then I'll.
Sure.
Okay. Sure.
You're obviously trying to make your radio podcast quite popular, and we know all about your MMR. So, do you think to make a credible podcast, you need to be high in skill? So why is there no
Well,
successful podcast
what
so far?
we're doing,
Why has no one
Lawrence,
done it?
What we're doing is we're cataloging our rise, and why we state our MMR is because it feels like the best way to give solid results on our growth, I guess, like just by the numbers, obviously. We don't want to necessarily be authorities. I think that's something that comes with thousands of hours of the game.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be the people that are,
we don't want to do a
telling you
pro-centric
how
I'd like
to
to
play
add-
Alchemist.
I'd like to add
So
something here,
what gap
and,
would you like to fill? Let's say in half a year's time, your podcast is still running. What gap would you like to fill? Why would people come to listen to your podcast?
And that actually plays perfectly to my point, which is, I think the first thing that the three of us really noticed when we started looking for Dota 2 podcasts, and that this also speaks to your question about why has nobody else been successful with a low MMR skill, and that is that I don't think they really reach out to the community in a lot of cases. They focus a lot on the pro-centered news, which is something and I know we talked a lot about pros this episode, but that's not our normal fare on Defense of the Patients. And I think we try to focus on the community and resources that the community can utilize. And I just don't think that happens, and it's kind of a shame because the biggest audience that's always going to be out there are
the noobs.
Yeah, are the new players. Are
the noobs. Yeah, there are more noobs than there are pros.
Yeah,
and the
I
casual
agree.
players.
Yeah.
Not on Dota 2 Reddit. They're all 5.
Dota 2
Yeah,
Reddit's
no,
not.
everybody
I'm telling you now.
on Dota
Dota 2
Reddit
Reddit
is
is junk.
7,000.
Dota 2
Yeah.
Reddit. It's not
No.
even like
No.
a reflection of the Dota 2 community. It's like must be like 80% American, and it doesn't make any
I-
sense.
I
They've
know
like
about
destroyed
that.
Reddit. I don't know how they managed it, but it's not Reddit
Yeah,
anymore.
I go there often. I go there like every day.
Mally, I want to add to that point too. Of do we have to be 5,000 level players to make a podcast?
I'm not saying you should.
Absolutely not.
I
Do
agree you
even-
don't. But I'm
That's
just
not
wondering why
necessary.
no one's
I-
ever
I
made
want
it.
to-
Because in terms of like Dota community, I think there is no comedy. It's
Uh-huh.
all pro focused. It's too pro. It's all about like
Yeah,
our
like-
alliance.
and-
whatever.
And
It's
today
true.
Burning did this, and yesterday Loda
Well, Burning's
was
retired, but-
caught. Yeah, it's just Burning retired. Like
Can I make a point onto this, Roland?
sure,
if you don't
go
mind?
ahead, go ahead.
There's this level of authority, it feels like. I don't know, it's too binary for my taste with the community right now. It's either you're a 1 or a 0. It's like you're either, I'm amazing, shut up, you can't touch this, or you're a complete scrub.
You're buying salves?
Should probably install the game. And there actually is a middle ground, believe it or not, because I've been occupying it for the past year, working a job, going to school, and playing Dota. And if we can share that experience,
And now
and
making
maybe
it to the podcast.
yeah, and now making it cuts in, but it helps me reflect on my time at the game better, and therefore it's a great tool.
We're here to help
for that
you
growth.
get better. I mean, also, like, the people who listen to this show are really good, and some of them aren't, and they're getting better, and they're also, it's helping with them with their lives, which is awesome. Like, us just talking, and we're going to get to this later. A fan of ours, Eric Marcuse, and a friend, really, by this point. But we're going to get to this. Cyphus, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, the basic takeaway from this conversation, I hope, is we realized that people weren't kind of taking this lightly. They weren't being funny with it. They weren't enjoying themselves talking about it. It didn't feel like overall. And there are way more casual players than professional players, and that will always be the case. Let's focus on the hobby and maybe not the sport, I
have
guess.
one point to make, which will tie into the esports thing perfectly. There was the longest time where I was playing StarCraft 2, and I didn't make it out of Platinum, but I always felt so depressed that I would never be like Grandmaster. And I mean, I was hitting a wall with that game way harder than I ever did with Dota, because I wasn't quick enough. My macro was shit, and I played Terran specifically. I never played anything else, and I still was so bad. And I realized with Dota, I came to it with a different mindset that this is something I'm going to be playing with you boys, and for
the rest of our lives,
15,
hopefully.
20 years. This thing's going to be around a while for me. It has that magic for me, and you don't need to be a pro player to relate to the core values of the game, so to speak. And I guess that would be kind of like my encapsulated thesis.
And I think that's the perfect cherry to put on top of our...
And I'm glad you got us to open up about that. Are you interviewing us, Mally?
It was pretty smooth, right?
Do you have experience with this? Do you have experience with this? What is this?
Well, Mally, I'm sorry we kept you up so late, man, but I do appreciate you calling in.
Any last words for me?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes, we want to throw out your plugs, which is they can reach you on Twitter at MALYSTRYX GDS at Malystryx GDS. They can find you on JoinDota, of course.
I'll put it on the video. All of the plugs.
Yeah, and then do you have any upcoming events? Or
I'm not interested in plugging. No, just support my new writers. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do.
Okay.
Like Gorgon, AKA, there's another guy called Bandana Guy.
Gorgon's going to be back on.
People, and he just wore a bandana. No one remembers anything apart from the fact he wore a bandana. So yeah, support my writers. That's it.
That's
awesome.
And where can you make the man?
Definitely, and we'd love to have more of your writers on and chat with them about who they're interviewing and what's going on over at JoinDota. So.
Bye, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So much, man.
Bye.
That was great.
That was like an outro of like Sesame Street.
Like, yeah. Bye, Mallory!
As the camera pans out. Bye.
As if he was actually here.
Yeah.
No, he was in London.
He's all friends.
He's across the pond.
Yeah.
Oh, jinx,
Wow.
man. You owe me a rare item from your inventory.
You've been cutting me off. You've been cutting me off all cast. It's about time we start saying the right thing.
I didn't mean to, man. You're not mad. Okay.
No, I didn't.
Fucking got it.
I didn't mind. I was shooting you daggers, man, because like I don't know. It's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Is like StarCraft 2 when it started, it came out with like the biggest of bangs, man.
Oh,
and
it
now,
did.
like I don't know. I never
Day
heard
9
anything about it. Yeah, I know. Day 9's like
Day 9's more popular than any StarCraft player.
And I'm glad for that.
In America. In America, at least. Maybe not in Korea,
if you were to
in
like
America.
take that guy's heart and give it to a goldsman, that guy would give you like $10,000 worth of gold.
Yeah, because his
that guy's
heart
heart
is
is
full of
9.
gold. I love Sean Plott.
Same with Mally.
Mally was awesome. Because he doesn't use game sound when he plays. So, like, I talked to him earlier today to do, like, a sound check, but, like, I never really got to, converse with him via voice to voice, and it was really cool. Like, he has a great personality. It's awesome.
And he's his interview style is
he belongs on an audio.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
He really does. He has everything.
He could replace me. I'm probationary.
Yeah, get out.
Yeah,
go out that window.
Yeah.
All right, let's play Worst Way to Die.
We have. Okay, I have to unprofessionally pull out my phone.
I've already got it.
Okay. Can I just nominate?
Yeah, sure, nominate.
Okay, I want to do the one from Xylus. Also Wyatt. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Wyatt, Xylus,
and Elise.
Yeah, let's do it. That one.
Or Haya, as we know, or at
Hyoscience? I think
Hyoscience.
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 Yes. No, it's
Right.
Hyoscience. I asked her. I think it's Hyoscience.
I
Hyoscience.
I like the idea of higher science, you know?
Yeah, me
higher
too. Like
science.
Hyoscience, Hyoscience.
Yeah.
She blinded me with Hyoscience.
Okay, then.
All right,
I'll
so-
take my bet.
I'm
I
going
need
to
this guy to
read. Can I read
You read whatever you want.
Hyosciences or Hyos?
Yes,
Sure.
Release? At .b show, when you think you're safe, and especially if you're getting back into your base and your fountain, and you get hit by any one of these, AA, Zeus, Voker, Nature's Prophet, or Clock, but I want to talk specifically about Clockwork, okay? That is crazy as hell, because that means you just got to Fountain, because what Clockwork does only does a little bit of damage.
Do that much
Yeah,
damage.
so you're getting there with like 1 health to Fountain, and bam, he's going for it, dude. He shoots it. That Clockwork, and when you get
It's funny
that,
that you say
it's
that.
so awesome.
I played a game as Clockwork last night, dude.
Uh-huh.
Like it was like 5 in the morning, and I was like coming down off me coffee, my daily coffee, just a little, and like just random shooting flares. Like if you think
Yeah.
someone's gonna be there, like that's the best way for the map presence is just to like, I got so many guys by just like knee-jerk reactioning, shooting one off.
Well, and then you feel like a ninja to the people, even because they're nobody's there to
And we
see
lost that
that
game
you
hard.
miss,
Yeah, we did.
but they're there to see when you hit.
Sometimes they are seeing this, but then you're just like scouting vision.
Let's do.
we said we'd do Xylus.
Okay, yeah,
Do you want me to read Xylus?
yeah,
Or
read
you-
Xylus.
Okay. @_show. When you blink into Initiate and your Outworld Devourer or Shadow Demon banishes you, puts you in that stasis field.
That doesn't kill you though.
But you
whatever
blink
kill you
to
doesn't-
initiate.
Yeah, but you're trying to initiate, and it's like I'm gonna blink on him, so it's like a.
Could you imagine being a
I guess
Tide
it's not a
Hunter
worse way
with
to
that?
die. Sorry, Xylus, that's not a worse way to die. I'm gonna read Jessica Hunter's instead.
Ooh.
That isn't a worse way to die.
You just
That's a worse way to
downgraded
initiate.
Xylus.
That's a worse way to
Worst
initiate,
way-
but that's not a worse way to die. @_show. When you tick down from a damage over time after your Nagas songs to save you. So you're ticking down. She stops time to save you, but yet it's still not enough, and you die. Is the way I'm taking that?
I'm thinking
Damage
that.
isn't done over time in that thing. I did.
Yeah. So you just missed the song, and you die right before the song to save you. I think that's what she's
okay,
saying.
I think this is what's happening.
Okay.
Damage over time
This
will
is
help
Jessica
on
Hunter's
someone
side of it.
who is squishy, let's
Mhm.
say, hypothetically, and then the Naga comes in the song, and
Uh-huh.
then it ends, and then the damage over time
Oh.
kills them after.
Okay.
when they use the
I
long
know.
ult to
Yeah.
try to stop that from happening.
And you still die.
Yeah.
Like,
Who you put it on me, maybe the damage over time will stop. That's funny, actually.
Okay.
That's really good.
And then-
It's my vote, man.
okay.
We
You
got
gotta
one
hear
last
the other one
Yeah, you
before.
gotta hear the other one.
I just-
Wyatt, are you gonna read Wyatt's?
Yeah,
Wyatt's
I sure
round?
am.
Okay. Go for
When
it.
you flame your teammate for feeding and then die immediately.
I saw the most hilarious
It's true.
thing.
It's a bad way to die.
I saw the most hilarious gif. It's a faceless void, and the game's paused, and he's about to like smack down a invoker and a chrono, and they say, "What? And their words, not mine. What last words, FGT? What last words?" And then they unpause, and then he says, QQWR, and then he ghost walks and runs out. The chrono ends, and a Marauder misses it, whips an arrow completely.
Awesome.
So like, I was thinking, worst way to not die. That would be.
That is the worst way to
Yeah.
not die. That is
Our best way
that is
to
some
not die.
Awesome.
I don't think there's no
Okay,
worse way to
so
not
read
die.
Wyatt's.
Well, that we just read.
Oh my
Mike's.
God, sorry.
Wow.
Apparently, I don't have a memory
dude,
today.
your
I'm
mind's
sorry.
all over the
I'm
place,
looking
dude.
at like 4 different screens right now, trying to monitor everything.
My vote's for the Naga Siren too. Though.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
That's funny because I could see it happening at our skill level and it being like no one would know who to blame, and in that situation you want to blame someone.
Yeah.
But
so-
both
Is
those
that-
guys would
is
be
that
like,
both-
but you and I and fuck.
I'm voting for @OpakaDota or Wyatt Turner because I've done that before where I've been like, wow, what a fucking noob. Really? Are you serious? You're going to just go drums first? Wow, you're going to die and lose all that? And then I die and he doesn't even die. And it's like, pride gone. You know
well,
what I mean?
You know, you
I'm gonna
voted.
vote-
You
I'm-
voted on principle.
Gotta vote
I
for
voted
Gerard.
on
Gotta
principle.
You
vote for
still
Gerard.
lost. You know.
I still lost.
One vote couldn't change.
I've done this
anything.
before where I do vote on principle even though you two.
Cool. Vote on.
Cool.
I
We vote for
I
winners.
vote on funnies.
Okay, so,
Fun simple.
who,
So
okay.
Jessica Hunter, we'll
Oh, okay.
contact her on Twitter.
We will send you
Good
some
Some
sort of
Naga
like a
signs.
Naga.
Let's give out her Twitter handle. It's at
LDAVI_Dota or Ameldavi_Dota.
Yeah, and she actually does some writing over at JoinDota with.
Yeah.
with
Oh wow!
There you go.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've got an old boys and girls club here now, boys and girls.
All right, well we will get you some swag. We got to get some Naga Siren stuff. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be wrong to do anything else.
Mhm.
So let's see, what else did we want to do today? Oh, should we read the latest?
I love your resolve on that Cyphus, by the way.
Read the new iTunes.
It's like
review.
Omni Night
Or I
talking
can-
about something.
Honestly, Cyphus, I can pull it up real quick. I've got it right
Okay,
here.
awesome.
Just
That
give
would-
me
That'd be great.
literally 2 seconds.
Well, I'm already there.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Alright, our latest one comes from Denomalus. Only cool kids play Dota. First of all, awesome podcast, he says. Not nearly as good as if I did a podcast of my own, though. But nonetheless, hands down, the best Dota podcast out there. Easy Marchese is way too overrated,
That's what we're about to talk
but
about.
he is on my Dota team.
We're about to talk
Check
about
it out.
A lot of people have
He gives us 5 stars as well.
Oh, wow.
kind of like made
Thank you.
teams and stuff through our guild. Join our guild, guys.
Yeah, join our guild.
Yeah.
Speaking of, sorry, let me put this back up. I accidentally took it down.
Sound like
Can I give this one out?
Yeah,
'Cause I love Eric. He's a
Yeah.
great guy. And he just got a promotion. Fuck yeah, Eric. Good job, dude. Eric Marcuse, carry the conversation. He wants to do something
I'm
after our
promoting
show.
that we call him Easy Marchese forever.
Easy Marchese? Okay.
That's fine.
Easy Marchese, whatever.
But this segment that Eric has in mind is called Carry the Conversation,
Mhm.
where you guys can go and talk about it, and we're gonna stop
Talk about
talking
whatever
and
you
hang out.
want.
We're not gonna guide or lead the conversation because we spend enough time running our mouths. But like the fact that we can facilitate conversation,
And we'll just be there.
yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there to hold hands
And it'll be
like,
fun.
Yeah, it's a
We
small
don't have
world
to
after all, man.
talk
Talk
about
about small
it.
hands. Doesn't matter where you're from. Across the pond, here in the States.
Yeah, log on. We'll get you a guild invite.
Back to our conversation with Mally. I like
Okay.
I do kind of like that Americans, or at least our reputation, is more or less that we just come over as personalities.
Hasn't it always been that way though in entertainment?
Yeah.
Like-
Hey everybody, we're here.
I mean,
It hasn't always been that way, no.
No, well, yeah.
the Brits are better than us at writing and the arts,
Yeah.
but there are exceptions. I don't want to make like huge
Oh,
generalizations.
sure.
But I feel like in terms of like news outcasts or
It's our reputation for a
yeah.
reason, though.
Yeah.
You know.
maybe not the best reputation because of the arrogance, but
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
I mean, it's
The
fun.
Brits, and I think British people are more reserved and understated in ways. Americans are loud assholes, and Brits are like those guys we played with that one time. They were just very cool. Like
Very
it's
cool.
like he's like 20 and
That was
3.
toward the start of the show.
Yeah, start of the show.
Yeah, he still hits us up.
Yeah, what's his...
Wow, I literally just looked
I was
at
just thinking
the
about it the
screen
other
there.
day. So
Anyway, well let's wrap this up. We might even go over an hour today. That was a great interview.
That was.
That was awesome.
It really was.
it's one of the few interviews where we were looking at the clock not because we wanted the interview to end, but because we wanted to pack
keep going.
everything in. And we
Yeah.
Well,
watched
and
it
I
into that.
was worried. I was actually kind of the reason I kept checking the clock is because I was really worried that we were keeping him up too late because he's like 7
He's
or
7
8
hours ahead of us.
So we thank him for taking time.
And as you can see...
You know, like that wrestling move when you get him like this, and then you reverse it? Wow! Like, that's what he did to us interview-wise.
Yeah,
Like, we were asking the questions, and then he just totally...
The next thing you know, you're like, yeah, I am.
And I'm like, I don't know if she hurt me,
do
like,
like
my
that.
first big heartbreak. And like, everything's been great since I met you, though. You know, like, God, he's dreamy, man.
Oh, and he's great to
But-
play with.
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah, he was-
He's around our MMR, not your MMR.
You know what you should
He's
do?
around your
you know
MMR.
what you should do? Is
Wazoo.
the next time you play with him, just instead of, like, popping the salve on him, just, like, drop it by him.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
keep hitting it.
Yeah. At like level 25, I'm just drop salves everywhere. I had enough gold that game, but probably could have just...
Go deny runes and drop salves in their places.
Cyphus, it is getting over now.
Yeah, I
Get
know.
the
I'm
plugs.
sorry. Okay,
Sorry.
follow us on
Fun
Facebook.
show,
Search
fun
Defense of the Patients. Follow us on Twitter at @P_show. Listen to the show at our website, defenseofthepatients.com. watch our videos on YouTube or swing by iTunes to hear the show and leave us a review. We'll be playing Amateur Dota 2 League Season 5. We're going to have Jordan Hansen on in the very near future to talk more about it. Lead Man Dota, we were in talks with. He's going to be here soon.
I can't wait for Lead Man.
My favorite question that he sent us was, and he may be the most professional of all our guests so far.
It's really cool. Like I've already talked about a stream on here.
Yeah, but the first question he asked us was, is it okay if I use profanity? And we were like, fuck yes. He said his jokes were funny.
I mean, like, we don't seek to offend, but like, people like to swear, damn it. You know?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said people swear. You can swear on our show. You can say whatever you want.
So, Jordan Hansen and Weed Man Dota, I think, are the two we'll plug for now for our upcoming guests. We've got a couple of others that are coming down. I feel pretty excited about the next few weeks of shows.
Ramping up. We're going to be, we'd love to support all of the people that have come on, but we're going to be branching out in any and all directions, guys. We're not going to stick with one particular group in Dota. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to go off to anyone. We want to find and everyone.
We want to find resources for you.
Yeah. Because there's so much, like we were talking about, how there's a lot of amateur players. Like what people don't realize, I think, is like there's a dominant scene, sure, but like there's so many like subcultures within this scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Like
and it's fun to meet them all.
We could spend the rest of our lives, just meeting all these different people that love enjoying this game from different like socio-economic status and like different walks of life and everything. Yeah. It's just
and we're international. I mean, it's just crazy that like the world, there are pinpoints all over the world that listen to us.
By socio-economic status, I mean like from internet cafes to like huge rigs in your own basement. You know, like this game goes everywhere.
I know, it's really cool.
So all right.
Cyphus.
Until next time, Cyphus for Wazoo and
I
Roland.
can't keep talking? I'm just going to keep talking, man. Roland, I'm sorry I was giving you daggers. You have pretty eyes, bud. Let's go.
Saying good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks so much for listening. I'll cut that. I'll just stop it at the good luck and Godspeed.
Jesus, man.
I didn't mean to be rude, but you
cut me off. It was just like, if you did